If I had to guess, I'd say that this video is going to be on the shorter side. Everybody knows that Ghost of Tsushima is a great game and an incredible technical achievement. Even if the subject matter or the genre isn't to your tastes, you can't deny that it's incredibly well made. But why make a video on this game at this point in time? Well, a friend of mine who enjoys Japanese culture and Assassin's Creed style games hadn't actually played this before, much to my surprise. So I suggested the game to him and he was very pleased with it. Not only that, but the director's cut version of the game, which includes all DLC, was included in the recent rollout of Sony's new and improved PlayStation Plus membership. After much consideration, I have come to the conclusion that I don't personally like membership systems such as Game Pass or the new PlayStation Plus membership, but I do understand that a lot of people do, the majority in fact. So considering that I know someone who hadn't played the game even though it would be perfect for them, plus having the option to play the director's cut at very little cost, I thought it would be a good time to remind everyone of just how good this game actually is. So as I said at the beginning, I want to keep this video relatively short. This is not a niche title, this is a big AAA game that the world and his wife already knows about, so let's just get to the point. Ghost of Tsushima is an open-world action-adventure game with some light RPG elements. The main story can last you around 25 to 30 hours, but to fully clear the map and beat everything the game has to offer, you could easily hit 100 hours if you play in a more relaxed way. You know, taking the scenery, explore the world at your own pace, complete side quests, and don't just focus on the main narrative. Plus, on top of all that, you'll also have access to the DLC called Iki Island, which adds another 5 to 10 hours of content. Or, if multiplayer is your thing, you can venture into the Legends mode, which is a completely separate co-op experience that could provide you with another 30 or so hours of content to enjoy. There really is a lot to do here, and if you're a fan of the Assassin's Creed games or the Horizon games and haven't played Ghost yet, you absolutely need to try it. You play as Jin Sakai, a young samurai and one of the last surviving members of his clan who attempts to protect his home from the Mongol invasion led by Khotun Khan. Jin has been trained in the ways of the samurai by his uncle, Lord Shimura, who adheres very strongly to the traditional role of the samurai. He believes in honor and looking your opponent in the eyes when you take their life. However, as the situation worsens on the island, Jin is forced to use more and more underhanded tactics such as trickery and assassination to save his people, eventually earning him the title of the Ghost of Tsushima. Jin Sakai, as leading characters go, isn't the most charismatic or endearing person, but at the same time, it's absolutely in keeping with the persona of a samurai, a warrior, a protector. Although shaken at first, he is stoic, determined, steadfast, sympathetic, and slowly regains his confidence as the story progresses. He isn't a happy-go-lucky person, he's a trained samurai facing death, and as far as I'm concerned, he's a great character despite what all of the big review outlets were saying when the game first released. The main game takes place on Tsushima Island, which is actually a real-life location if you weren't aware. In fact, the game's two directors were made ambassadors of tourism for the island, which is a real honor for them. In terms of the game world's design and just overall look, I genuinely struggle to think of a better looking game. It's not always about resolution or polygon counts either. I mean, certain areas in this game are nothing short of magical to witness. The large fields covered in animated plant life, the leaves falling from the trees, and how everything just moves and flows when the wind blows. It's all just so incredible to see. It's a bit weird to say, but at times it feels like the world inside this game is completely natural and not man-made. The world and the environments feel alive and real when you explore them, and I just love spending time in it. Gameplay-wise, you'll be exploring the island while attempting to take it back from the Mongols and defeat Khotun Khan. You'll be able to collect resources and materials to create and upgrade your gear, as well as complete side stories to find legendary items. Liberating various fortresses and strongholds will unlock services within them, and you'll physically see people begin to return to them to rebuild their lives. It's a very fulfilling process, and although it is just a gameplay mechanic very similar to taking down outposts in Assassin's Creed, it still feels really meaningful to me. You'll also be able to upgrade Jin's abilities, unlock new stances which can be used against different types of enemies, and equip Omamori charms which bestow passive bonuses. Combat is very well presented in my opinion, and it's always fun to engage with, at least as far as I'm concerned. It's kinda like a mix of the more recent Assassin's Creed games, a little bit of the older Assassin's Creed games, and something like the Batman Arkham titles. You can perform quick, light attacks and slow, heavy attacks that help to break the opponent's guard, as well as swap stances to better suit the threat. It does take a little bit of time to unlock them, but you've got stances that work well against spearmen or shielded enemies, or even larger enemies, for example. You can also use tools like kunai or smoke bombs, as well as just sneaking around and backstabbing everyone if you so choose. I mean, if you want to, you can just walk in the front door and challenge their best warrior to a standoff. All you do here is hold down the button and wait for the enemy to attack you, then release the button to insta-kill him. You can actually chain more of these together later on in the game and it just never gets old. Some enemies will actually try to trick you and feign an attack to get you to strike first. If this happens, they will hit you pretty hard and you'll need to heal immediately. At the end of the day though, with all the options you have at your disposal, you're all but guaranteed to find a way to enjoy the combat. I just think it's really well put together and like the rest of the game, it's a pleasure to engage with. This fully complete Director's Cut version of the game is available physically on PS4 and PS5. It's also available for download in the middle tier of the new PlayStation Plus subscription service, which is called Extra. In my opinion, Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut is a must-play masterpiece, and as far as I'm concerned, it's one of the best open-world games ever made. As I mentioned earlier, if you're a fan of open-world games in general, Assassin's Creed, Horizon, or even The Witcher, but you haven't played this for whatever reason, you absolutely should. I'd say that there's a very, very low chance that you won't enjoy yourself, and now that it's part of the new PlayStation Plus Extra subscription, it's easier and cheaper to access than ever before. Ultimately, I think this game sells itself. It's absolutely a top-tier open-world game, and you can just see and feel how much effort and passion was put into its development. This game has a serious and poignant narrative, it's fun to play, it's beautiful to look at, and most importantly, it's a perfect example of how AAA video games should be created. If you enjoy the video, I really hope you'll consider subscribing, and if you like what I do and want to help support the channel, please check out the first link in the video description down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.